For those who don't know, what is Zulu?
Zulu is the world's first passive analog tape simulator. It's my invention. I created it here in Syracuse, New York a couple of years ago, and now it is in full production through my company, Handsome Audio.
When did Zulu become a thought process?
Really, Zulu has always been my thought process because I learned how to become a recording engineer and a record producer on analog tape. So the mindset of Zulu has its DNA in analog tape, and the mindset of that as far as just like hip hop and rock and roll, it's all about how you push it and manipulate the platform. So from the beginning, when I was 16.
Did you ever think you'd make something this incredible?
That's the magic question, right? In the beginning, I only thought about making something that worked, and eventually I began to perfect that and make that even better at every step. But that was still more for my own self-satisfaction. When I began to introduce this to the world itself, it slowly dawned on me that we had eclipsed our expectations and had opened doors we didn't even think were possible with this technology. So I didn't think it was going to be this incredible, but at the same time, it's all about how you work. And I'm a firm believer in hard work makes everything possible.
Surely this kind of thing must require a bit of patience inventing it anyway. What were some steps to making Zulu?
Well, most of it is a secret, but the most important part is that we sat with real analog tape recorders and analyzed the way that they sounded, right? And instead of using scopes in a lab or measurement tools, we used these things on the side of your head called ears. Record producers get hired because of the things that they see, they hear, and most importantly, what they feel. So we didn't stop with this process until it felt right. See, a lot of times it's just about reaching a milestone and making that the end point for your development of a product. But for us, it had to look, sound, and feel good, because that's analog tape, and that's the sound of rock and roll. That's Run DMC, that's LL Cool J, that's Tribe Called Quest. It feels good, right? So just being accurate on paper wasn't good enough, because art transcends the technical, and that's about feeling, that's about soul. So that's really my answer for that.
Was there anyone else when it came to the idea of Zulu? If so, who?
You know, the only person that really came to mind that I can think of is the person that is my partner in this business, and that's Todd Levine. Todd is several times over more familiar with tape than I am. I came in when tape was on its way out, and he was there when it was in its heyday. Also, Todd and I both have a mutual connection to hip-hop music. He, on one hand, was there at its infancy, and I was there when it was in full swing as a teenager. Todd has recorded many famous hip-hop acts as a younger engineer, along with many well-known rock and roll and progressive acts. But primarily, we meet in the middle when it comes to what the analog experience is like for the user. And I don't think anybody else in this business could really approach it the way that he does, because he has had the time on this earth to really experience it at both ends of the spectrum. And because he really isn't a technical guy, he speaks on it almost like the way a poet speaks on politics, right? He's not really in it in the same way that a politician is, and yet he views it with fresh eyes. And so that's invaluable in development of products, you know, that you get that honest feedback from somebody that simply just knows when something is right. They can't explain why. They just got a thing that just says that's it. And you normally don't get that from a scientist or a technician. You get that from somebody that just has lived and breathed this thing that you seek as part of their life. And Todd was it.
Do you think you can have Zulu affiliated with my upcoming project, Verses from the 315?
Well, Grazza, this is the way it works. When we first launched Zulu, one of the things that came to mind was that any album that featured the use of Zulu extensively would be something that you'd be able to see. when you get the album, right? So there should be a Handsome Audio badge on your CD along with the phrase mastered with Zulu below it. And that becomes, right, like our new RCA Victor logo, like the dog listening to the, the Victrola record player. This is something that we want to become not only just a thing of significance to people from the technical side, but also a lifestyle brand. Musicians are choosing this over digital. And so we want that to be personified on their album releases. So how can you associate your album with Zulu? Well, first of all, it's been used on almost everything you've done. And secondarily, you can just put the brand right on the album credits, Bam, there goes the Handsome Audio logo, mastered with Zulu. Anybody that purchases a copy of your album is going to see that. And that's going to be something that the more CDs they get that feature that, along with all the other famous artists that are coming out that use Zulu, you're going to be aligned with them in that Tape Gang connection.